About 2 years ago, I started working on this concept for a photography exposure dice set. So ISO, shutter speed, and an aperture. And I sent off and got these prototypes made, not really, knowing what sizes I was ordering because I wasn't used to working with these kind of dimensions and stuff. So my ISO dice, which is a standard 16 millimeter dice, turned out well. This one's great. But this, the D12, is way too small. It's hard to read that text because ideally, if you roll the dice, you want to be able to read it pretty quick. So this is way too small. This one, I think, is about 18 millimeters right now, so it needs to be larger than 18 millimeters so that that text is readable, especially the longest being, so whatever, 250, trying to find 500. Okay, so about that many characters being the longest. And this one, the D10, is really just a little bit too big. Now, I could probably live with this size if this one was somewhere between the size of this one and this one so that it felt more cohesive. But ideally, this one, which I think is about 28 by 36 millimeters on the longest direction, is just a little bit too large. And looking at this, you can see ideally the text size would be about the same on these, or close. But really, yeah, this one's just a little too big if I was really tweaking it. Now, one of my problems is trying to find basically dice that aren't a normal standard size. Dice manufacturers. This being a three-dimensional object, it's a little more complicated, and then there's different processes for dice. So I can't tell. Like that almost feels like it's engraved, but I don't think it is. I think this is printed. I'd rather it ideally be engraved so it's a little bit more durable. I want them to last. The concept for this, well, first, I have a few different things in mind. I have some game ideas that I want to create that would require exposure dice. But the first thing that I want to do just to get started, once I find a manufacturer that can do the dice that I want them, is just to create basically like a little creative prompt kit. So probably a set of die in a bag with a little booklet that has a bunch of different ideas on how to use them, like different challenges and stuff. So like for instance, roll 2 dice, and then compensate for the third one, or roll 3 dice and you have to take a picture with those settings. Take the best picture you can, and just there's just all kinds of different prompts you could use these for. You could use it, where you're just using. You don't have to use all 3. You could use one, and just different ways. So that's the idea for this. So I'm working right now to try and get a quote from a new manufacturer to see if they can do what I would ideally like to be done. And hopefully I'll figure it out soon, because this is a little game that ideally would be really quick and not crazy expensive to produce, that I think a lot of people would have a lot of fun with. And then also this would then become a component in some other games that I plan to do in the future. So wish me luck.